We proceed. Now, West Bengal, of course, going through the first phase of this assembly elections. The politics this time around focused on the revision of the electoral rolls, the infiltration concerns that are there, and the violence that has been reported in the state. TMC and BJP competing against each other for votes with their own share of promises. Firangi media is, however, building its own narrative. How is the world reporting the West Bengal polls? We'll take a comprehensive look at that now. Let's start with the BBC. This British media organization has not shied away from sharing rather biased news, especially focusing on the selective, intensive revision of the electoral rolls in the state. They've called it one of the most fiercest contests, stating that the BJP is set to test its ability to expand in regions where it earlier struggled, while the TMC fights to continue its legacy. That is how the BBC has reported this. Let's in fact now take a look at what these articles are looking like. The BBC report, it says high stakes West Bengal election begins as parties row over voter roll. Prime Minister Modi's BJP has mounted an aggressive push to unseat Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, whose TMC is seeking a fourth term in a state that the BJP has never governed. The contest is most sharply defined in West Bengal, where the poll is unfolding amidst controversy over the electoral roll revision. Firangi media, the question that you are asking is if it's rooting for Mamata Banerjee. Let's also take now a look at the Seattle Times reportage. Here, the headline says voting is begun in West Bengal after a national voter list purge. So, SIR has been put across as a key issue. 9 million names have been removed, but voters are sure why. That's the reportage. They're questioning how these names have been removed. It says voting in one of India's most closely watched state election began Thursday after a national voter roll revision removed millions of names and raised concerns over disenfranchisement in West Bengal, one of the few large states not governed by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Bloomberg reports that Modi is seeking to win key India state after voter rolls purged. It has been more blatant in pointing fingers. They say that the BJP is seeking to win this key state after the voter rolls were purged, going on to further add that the deleted names targeted minorities and Muslims. That's what the Bloomberg claims in its reports. It says the Election Commission stripped approximately 12% of voters from the list to weed out fake voters and illegal migrants. So, opposition groups, however, allege that Prime Minister Modi's party is using the exercise to target mainly the poor and Muslim voters and tilt the election outcome in its favor. Just 2 weeks before voters in India's eastern state of West Bengal were to go to polls, 9 million names were removed from the registered rolls, causing an uproar among opposition party. Let's now take a look at Al Jazeera. The Qatari media organization has also portrayed the Muslim community as victims in the Bengal polls. They say that there's fury as millions lose voting rights in West Bengal. Let's take a look at that as well. Muslims the target, that's the headline. Fury as millions lose voting rights in India's Bengal. The key eastern state heads to poll this month under the shadow of a controversial revision of electoral rolls, which many say excludes Muslims disproportionately. That's the Al Jazeera reportage. It says West Bengal is home to 25 million Muslims, accounting for roughly 27% of state's 106 million population, according to the last census of 2011. This is the community's second largest population among Indian states after UP. It is also a state that the BJP has never won, as a fiery 71-year-old Mamata Banerjee has governed the state since 2011. Meanwhile, Azerbaijani media has taken a rather pedantic way of reporting the polls. Let's take a look at Azerbaijan reportage as well. It says West Bengal elections are a fierce battle across dozens of constituencies. Voter participation will remain a key focus, with initiatives aimed at encouraging turnout and ensuring that all eligible voters have the opportunity to cast ballots. Election authorities will continue to prioritize the integrity and efficiency of this process. Also, of course, talking about the electoral revision here. All right, that is how foreign media has covered this highly anticipated Bengal elections of 2021. Let's now go to discuss this with the editor of the Sunday Guardian, Ms. Joyita Basu. Thank you very much for joining us. Ms. Basu, your first take on this reportage.
Well, first of all, you see, what is most interesting about these reports is that there is this consistent, all of them are saying that this is being said, this is being criticized, this is being, because you see, they do not have any, obviously they do not have reporters on the ground to find out exact what has gone on. And whenever they are talking about this Al Jazeera, for example, that report that you read out, saying, Muslims disenfranchised and all, but the fact of the matter is that a huge number of Hindus have also, quote unquote, disenfranchised.
Correct.
And one of the reasons being, so that is a thing, that is something that is not going to find a reflection in these reports. And what they are not, what exactly SIR is doing, that also is not, because you see, even I have filled my form, etc. for SIR. A question has come on that as well. They are actually, and I have submitted suitable proof that yes, I was part of my family, everybody was part of the voters list prior to 2000. You see, if you are not able to prove that, isn't it that that's going to be a problem? It has nothing to do with Hindus or Muslims. It is for Indians to prove the Indian citizenship. This is something a very necessary, this is a necessary means to ensure that fair voting happens, free and fair. What was happening in West Bengal all these years was there were this huge number of dead voters, for example, but they were suddenly coming alive on voting day and they were all voting.
Yes.
How is that possible? So it was primarily because rigging was going on. So you see, that's one of the things that let us hope the election commission has been able to eliminate. And this is an exercise that has nothing to do with political parties. This is not about politics. This is not about, the problem with these media houses, this Firangi media that you call them, is that they do not believe that India is a credible democracy, is a legitimate democracy. So whatever they say about us, they always add a but to that. But you see, this is happening, but you see, India cannot. So they always paint us in the, I would say, harshest of colors. And I would say this is at times government neutral, party neutral. They have done enough damage to us even when Congress was in power.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
They have got this.
Yeah.
So the whole point is that is what they are trying to do in this case.
Absolutely, painting a biased picture like you're saying. Thanks very much for joining us with your perspective right now, Ms. Basu. And viewers, it's time now for a very quick break.